Hey YouTube, so you're trying to quit drinking and you might be lonely, you might be defeated, you might feel miserable, or you might just feel okay and want to live a healthier life. But whatever it is, there's some basics to quitting drinking that I'm going to go over in this episode. But whatever it is, there's some basics to quitting drinking that I wish I knew or had a perspective of when I first quit drinking. And that's what I'm going to go over in this video. We'll jump right into it. And these are 5 things that I wish I knew when I first quit drinking. Number 1 is to set clear goals. When I first quit drinking, it took me several attempts to actually quit. I would go a day or two, maybe even a week, but I just couldn't quite get the hang of it until I figured out a different part and kind of something clicked in me. And then I was able to quit for a long period up until this point, several years. So setting a clear goal, what that means is that a lot of times when we're quitting drinking, it's kind of impulsive. Like a lot of people, you have a bad night or you have a really bad hangover and you want to quit drinking, or something happens, or there's some instance that you want to prepare for. Whatever reason it is, what we need to do is set a clear goal. Do you want to quit for a week? Do you want to quit for a month? Do you want to quit forever? And then another part of that is getting clear about your goals is also being clear about the why. So this goes hand in hand. If you're thinking about just quitting for a week, well, think about, why are you quitting for that week? Maybe there's something deeper. And if there is, then that week isn't going to be enough. If you're doing this, if you're quitting because you're miserable or your life is unmanaged, it's just not going to stick. There's a certain point when you realize that quitting drinking and your relationship to alcohol just isn't fun anymore. Like, you can try to go back and have a good time, but there's a guilt and there's a subconscious part of you that knows that you don't want to be doing this. So it's getting clear about what the goal is and getting clear about why. And then if you want to quit for good, you need to really define it. Like, I'm not going to have any alcohol at all. And there's a lot of benefit to being more strict, where I've seen time and time again people wanting, like, the classic, like, I'm going to switch from alcohol to beer, or beer to alcohol, or vice versa. Or I'm only going to drink on the weekends, or I'm only going to drink when I'm on vacation, or something like that. But that leaves so much wiggle room. And the way that alcohol works and the way that our minds work is that if there's a little bit of wiggle room, then what's the big deal? We can just start over. So setting a clear, definite goal, and also being clear about your why. What is it? Is it for your family? Is it because you want to change your life? Is it because life is completely miserable and you need to change? What is it? So getting clear about those 2 things. Then on to number 2, which is to get help, get support. And this can look a lot of different ways, but think about it like this. If you're new to quitting drinking, think about how you would approach something else that you're learning for the first time. It's just like, if I wanted to be a welder, what would I do? I might just start trying to weld, but more likely I'm going to seek out a program. I'm going to look up more videos, even like you're doing now, is seek help, look up the videos on YouTube, find a program that lays it out, start interacting with other welders that can tell you how to weld and how they do it. It's just like anything, going to school to be a lawyer, a doctor, whatever it is, we would go seek help from people that have already done it in order to do that thing. So drinking is just the same. If this is your first time quitting drinking, or your second or your third, you seek help. And there are a ton of programs and resources for you to do so, especially now with the internet. You don't even have to leave your own home, though I do encourage it, to go out and start interacting with the community that's around you. It's just so much more powerful to make those connections in person and have that support in your life. But this video is more of a general overview. So if you want to see some of the top programs to help you quit drinking, you can check out this video that I'll link here. You can check out this video that I'll link here where I go over a number of programs that you can pursue. And I give ones that are in person and ones that are online. But moral of the story is reach out for help in whatever, continue watching YouTube videos, find help in whatever way that you need to. And that brings me to number 3, which is be aware. And you want to be aware with a few things. Be aware of your relationship with alcohol. Be aware of your triggers. And be aware of the effects of alcohol. So the first one is, what is your relationship with alcohol? What are you doing it for? Why are you drinking? And that awareness can be one of the first whys and first inspirations for you to quit. And as an example, I started to realize that my relationship with alcohol had become my coping mechanism at the end of the day. I was going through this nasty breakup. It wasn't like nasty between the two of us, but the circumstances were causing me to feel more anxiety than I ever have in my life. And I got into this habit where I would be anxious all day, and then I would go home and immediately start drinking because I just wanted to suppress that feeling. And I didn't want to necessarily quit my relationship to this person or my connection or our interactions, even though it was completely unhealthy. But I used alcohol to cover it up. And I just realized like I am just suppressing my emotions and using this not to feel my feeling. So what are you doing it for? And then also, like, are you doing it to have fun? And if that's the case, why? And if you're doing it for liquid courage, if that's the case, why are you putting yourself in those situations where you feel like you need to have alcohol? So start to look at, these reasons why you're drinking. And then the next part is not only why you're choosing to do it in the first place, but are there's these instances that are triggering you to then want to drink? Like for me, it was anything that triggered my anxiety, and then I would feel like I need to have a drink. Or is it your job? Is it just your job, the work that you're doing? And if that's the case, why do you want to keep living your life with a job that is triggering you? And it could be a number of things. Maybe it's your spouse, maybe it's your dog, maybe it's driving, whatever it is, maybe having a bad day. Figure out what these things are. Being aware of it can help you take that first step to realize this is causing me to want to drink, and let me choose a different path. And then the next part is once you've figured out the why and the triggers that are resulting in you going back to the bottle, then what are the effects of alcohol? How does it make you feel? Does it make you feel bloated? Does it make you feel bloated? Does it make you feel sluggish? Are you super hungover the next day? And then also, what are the long-term effects? This video isn't going to dive deep into this, but I also have a video on the effects of alcohol. So if you want to see some of the more detailed long-term effects and risks of drinking, sometimes those can be the encouragement for us to continue to quit drinking. Like every time we think, maybe I'll just have one, it's like, how's that hangover? Do you remember feeling like death in the morning? And then also long-term alcohol use can lead to increased risk of cancer and a number of other things. So maybe those kind of dire effects can also be encouragement to not do it, because we don't always see the long-term effects when we're in the process, but these things accumulate. So check out that video, and if you want just to see curiosity maybe, and some of them might shock you. So awareness, start to understand, see your environment. And that brings us to number 4, which is when you start to see all these things, 4 is to change your environment. Again, be aware of your situation, your relationship, your triggers, the effects, and then 4, change your environment. And this is super helpful. I've seen people that didn't do this, but I've also seen so many people that don't want to change anything about their lives. Like they want to do this big life change of quitting drinking. And it's big. Like, it's such a big part of our culture. People do it so regularly. If you're watching this video, chances are it seems like kind of a big part of your life. So then one of the sayings is, if you want to quit drinking, get out of the bar. You know, if you're going to the library every day, you might read a book. Like, that's just the way it is. If you've got, thousands of books around you, you might just get bored and think, maybe I should read one. Maybe you're there to do something else, but it's there. And everyone else around you is doing that. So it's the same concept. What are your friends and family doing? What's your job like? What are your hobbies? Is your hobby going to the bar? Are your friends partiers and also drinkers? So when you get together, all you do is drink. Are your family events just drinking events? Like, think about these things and then think about the pressure that you feel. So by changing your environment, you get away from the temptation. First of all, you might drink again, but you didn't have all of those temptations staring you in the face. So you have a drastically better chance if you can just get away from it, get out of the bar. If you're a bartender or a server, think about switching jobs or finding a different dynamic in your workplace that you can quit. And then you might have to change what you do with your friends. And changing your environment, that leads, and for ease of changing your environment, or if you're stuck in your environment, especially, and you need to make some sort of change, that brings us to number 5, which is to actually be open about your process. Be open about quitting drinking and wanting to be sober. Not only being open about it, but keep reminding yourself. So first, being open about it when you're stuck in those environments. Maybe you tell your coworkers, like, hey, Jimmy, not real Jimmy, but fictional Jimmy. Hey, Jimmy, I'm quitting drinking. So, please be sensitive of that and, don't offer me alcohol, or like, just be aware of it. Friends and family, like, hey, I'm quitting drinking. So like, maybe we could do something else, or maybe you could not do it around me. Another part about these two in combination, like, get the alcohol out of the house. Also, you can change that environment in that way. Like, maybe you're used to having it around all the time, but you can ask people to put it away. You can throw it away. And so being open about it, you get to help change your environment. You get to make other people more sensitive and aware and supportive. Like, there are a few people that when you tell them you're quitting drinking, they're like, oh no, and they just don't understand the problem or your why, and they haven't figured it out yet. But most people are really supportive, and they're like, that's awesome. Like, maybe whatever I can do to help, or just super supportive. And so many times when I've told people that I'm sober or when I was quitting, and for yourself, think about how you're saying it. So many times when I've told people that I'm sober, it allows them to open up and start to share about why they would want to quit drinking. And I think so many people that are still drinking actually want to quit, but they don't know how, or they're not ready. Their lives haven't got quite miserable enough yet. And that brings me to another point is, if you're being open about it and communicating about it, think about how you're talking about it, because how you say it can also internalize the belief. Like, think about how this resonates. I'm quitting drinking versus I'm sober. If you're saying I'm quitting drinking, think about the implications of that. That means that you're still drinking, really, or you haven't decided to quit yet. Like, if it's still I'm quitting versus I quit drinking, or I'm sober, it's the I'm quitting is I haven't done it yet, or I'm in the process of doing it and I still might drink a bit. But if you start to say, like, I quit drinking, or the best one yet is sorry, I'm sober, or like, no, thank you, I'm sober, that really starts to identify with being a sober person and not needing to do that. And then people can start to recognize you as a sober person, and shift their relationship, and maybe stop trying to give you Jaeger bombs all the time or whatever you like to drink. These are kind of bonus tips at the end of how we be open about it. And then really what you're doing right now is keep reminding yourself, be open with other people's. That helps you really internalize it, remind people of it. And then also keep ingesting information. Find that program. Just keep feeding yourself inspiration and keep it at the front of your mind. Because so often, like when I was quitting in the very beginning and I was still quitting, I would forget. Like I would almost say like, oh my God, I feel so terrible. I'm going to quit. I'm never going to drink again. Like, oh my gosh, I feel so terrible. I'm never going to drink again. And then by the end of the night, I would forget how bad I felt. And I'd be drinking wine out of a box, taking Jaeger bombs or whatever it is. So keep reminding yourself, keep feeding yourself stuff. So just to go over the 5 one more time. Set clear goals, get help, be aware of your relationship, the triggers that you have and the effects, change your environment, and be open about it and keep reminding yourself. So I really hope this video helps. Check out those videos I mentioned, and then I'll link another video here. If you do want to keep reminding yourself, think about subscribing to this, and then also check out the video at the end of this or watch those other videos that I mentioned. Let me know in the comments if there's anything that you want to know about alcohol. And then also a way to be open is let me know in the comments when you quit drinking or when you're going to quit drinking and what your goal is. Is it to quit forever, quit for 30 days, or whatever it is? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear about it. I'd love to share some love. So thanks again, and I'll see you in the next video.